Tomorrow I have to I have to get a colonoscopy. So I've been in the house all day pooping. And I just mixed up this my final drink. The instructions say I'm supposed to drink approximately 300 milliliters every 15 minutes. I got my timer going. And it's supposed to be ice cold, so I got it in the freezer. And when I mix it up, what is it? What was a bottle? It's this stuff right here. I had to nigga rig the measurements because we don't have a measuring cup. And it said you're supposed to put okay, first of all, it's supposed to be 1 liter, and the bottle that I have is 1.5. So that bottle that's in the freezer, that's the bottle that I use to mix my protein with after I work out, after I go to the gym. I just put because my protein scoop is really big. It's it's really big. I don't have no. It's like two of these put together. And there's really no point in me telling you the size of the scoop. My whole train of thought is just gone. Oh, I just saw you use a bottle. Okay, so I use the bottle because it has on the side milliliters, milliliter measurements, and it said that you're supposed to use 1 meter. So I asked Google how many milliliters in a liter. There are 1,000 milliliters in a liter, and that bottle is, hold on, it is 2,000 milliliters. So now, after I looked at the bottle, I realized the bottle is black and you can't see through it, so I don't know how much is in there. So I have to hydrate while I am emptying my colon. So I got coconut water and Gatorade, and the Gatorade just happens to be 500 milliliters. So two of these filled up is 1,000 liters, but it's 1 liter. So I filled two of these up with water. Then I had to squeeze. The instructions told me to squeeze a lime into it, into the to the mixture, and I did that. Oh my goodness, that shit tastes so delicious. And after that, then I have to take this. So I drink 300 milliliters every 15 minutes. So I just fill it up to about right here. And then drink that down. After that, then I was in the green box. I have to, hold on. I have to drink that. It's anti-gas. So I guess after this final evacuation. That's to help with the cramping. Then I got until 3 o'clock in the morning to consume as much fluid as I can to keep myself from being dehydrated, I guess. And after 3 a.m., no ma'am, that's a wrap on all consumables. So I didn't even try and calculate how long it was gonna take me to drink that whole bottle. Yep. So anyway, while I'm waiting, I can tell you another story. I can tell you about the time that I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18. Okay. Okay, so when I was like 17, there was this dude. He was a substitute teacher at my school, at the high school that I went to. I went to Whites Creek High School, Whites Creek Comprehensive in Nashville. And then it was a literature teacher. It was literature. I think it was lit. English lit? I think it was English lit. Because I remember that I had to read a bunch of books in her class. She wasn't there for whatever reason, so we had a substitute. And it was this guy. Oh, he was so fine. I remember I followed him into the bathroom one time. We was in between classes. And I remember I told him about this later on, like years later. I was like, you don't remember this, but I followed you into the bathroom when you went to use the bathroom. He's like, I didn't even know that. I was like, yo. So, anyway, he's about yay tall. He's high yellow. He looked like he probably like, he looks Puerto Rican, but he's not. He's straight nigga. And he's, muscular. He's got green eyes. He has a little, like a semi-small frame or whatever. The body is right now. The body is right. So anyway, I had a crush on him. Then this is okay. So he substituted at our school. And then I remember I was talking on the phone to one of my friends. At the time, my friend she has transitioned at this point. She's now a transgender female. But back then, she was a boy, and her boy name was Willie. So I remember I was talking on the phone to the girl name now is Jasmine. So it's in everyone's best interest to refer to her as Jasmine and not Willie. But for the sake of this story, because I'm speaking about the boy phase, I'm going to say Willie. I was on the phone with Willie, and I was like, oh, it's this dude. He's substitute teaching for us. Oh my gosh, he is so cute. His name is Mr. Eppinger. But it was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. Bitch, that's my ex-boyfriend. What? Are you serious? Yes. Oh my goodness, I can't believe he over at your school. He sure is. And he fine the motherfucker too. I gotta check my time. I got 3 minutes. I was like, he fine as a motherfucker too. She was like, and then she was like, well, I'm supposed to call him and see if he know who you is. So, she called him. I can't remember if it's on three-way or not. Some kind of way. She exchanged our phone numbers for us. Keep in mind, we're high school students, teenagers, and he's a grown professional substitute teacher at the school, okay? Beyond inappropriate. We didn't give a fuck. We had hormones and we didn't have boyfriends. So so okay, so then what had happened was I started talking to him on the phone. And then one day, I had a car at the time, but my movement was really, really restricted by my parents. So I said I was going to choir rehearsal, but I was in a community choir at the time outside of the church. So I was like, well, I'm going to choir rehearsal. But I didn't go to choir rehearsal. I went over to his house, and then we fucked. And at that point, there was a rap baby. I was in love. That man had 9 inches. And he was short, light skinned, bow legged with green eyes. Yes, ma'am. Those. I was like, I love him. I am sticking. I'm sticking with him forever. I don't give a fuck. Hold on, I got 45 seconds. Okay, so then we was doing this stuff for like a year. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I had back then. This was like in the '90s, and everybody used to walk around with a calendar, but it was like a calendar that looked like a little booklet. Most women kept it in their purse. I had one. And in that calendar, I was keeping a log of every time me and him fucked. I put in the calendar when he fucked me and when I fucked him. I don't know why, but for some reason in my head, it was me, like, it was almost like my porn, my version of porn or something, because we grew up in a really restricted household, because my father's a preacher and he is also the musician at the church. So it was church and school, nothing else. So it was like my version of porn. Sometimes I would flip through the calendar and be like, oh, Thursday he fucked me. Oh. And then Saturday I fucked him. The good reverend had went through my things in my bedroom and found that calendar, baby. Beyond pissed. Do you hear me? I'm still in high school. My car got taken away. So I told him, why don't you just come over to the house at like 2 o'clock in the morning and you can slip in through my bedroom window. I had bars on my window, but I be damned because I had just discovered where Dick was, and baby, you was not gonna stop me. I had I had took a butter knife because okay, the screws on the bars to my bedroom, they were like weird. They weren't like Phillip head type screws. It was like it was a square, and you had to have a special type of screwdriver. I had put a couple of butter knives together, baby, and nigga rigged them knives, and I had loosened the screws on three of the bars on the outside of my window, so that when I could push it out, and it would still hang up in the corner. So I had rigged it. He came in. He snuck into the bedroom. We was fucking, and he would leave. Then one day, my stepmother, we lived in we had a two-story house, and my parents, their bedroom was upstairs. Ours was on the main level, and our bedroom's on the opposite end. Their bedroom was on the opposite side of the house, upstairs. Ours, the kids, was downstairs on the main level, but on the opposite end. So I could be down there blasting the radio, everything, la la la, screaming bloody murder. Nobody would hear me. Nothing upstairs. So we just be in there fucking, and I was never worried. For some reason, my stepmother woke up in the middle of the night and came downstairs. I was like, "Oh, quick, get in the bed." Now, the bed that I had at the time, it had the plastic was still on the box spring. So when he slipped under the bed, all you heard was you would think a sane person, once they got under there, would sit still. You've seen enough horror movies to know that if you move, the killer's gonna get you type shit. They didn't register to him evidently because my stepmom opened the door. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? I was talking to myself. At 1 o'clock in the morning? Yes. And she just stood there for a second. And then his goofy ass under the bed wiggles or something. And she was like, "Oh, who's under your bed?" "Nobody. It's the dog." She said, "No, it's not. The dog is in the den." "No, she's not. She's under the bed." And she called the dog, and the dog came running from the den. He said, "If there's somebody under the bed, get out of there right now." I said, "Oh, shit." And then he scooted up from the bed. He said, "I'm going to leave out the door." And he left. She was like, "I'm telling your daddy." I was like, "Oh, shit." Oh, baby. 38 hot. I was in the bedroom. All I saw was dust come around because I drive through a driveway was a gravel rock. It was a gravel drive. And he came parked, and it looked like somebody Dukes a Hazard. That car skidded to a stop. I was like, "Oh shit!" He came barreling in the room. Like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get out of there, threw me across the. I mean, I didn't even know this man had the strength to lift me up off the ground. Picked me up, threw me across the bedroom. He said, "You're not getting that car back. You're not getting this. You grounded on my telephone. La la la. Woo to woo. You can't do shit." Okay. I said that's the day I said, "You know what? I'm gonna have to move out when I turn 18." Because at the time I was 17. And I had it had to be like February or March or something like that. So all I had to do was wait just a few more months, and then I could be fucking again. So I had to plan all. I had to be meticulous with my planning. So I We had payphones at our school. This is before cell phones, okay? I think, as a matter of fact, oh my gosh, I'm so old. This was right when cell phones had just started to come out because I remember my dad had one, but it had the battery pack. Like the battery pack that looked like a suitcase to go with the phone. That's how it was like the early 90s. Like 93, 94, something like that. 1993. Okay. So we had payphones at our school. I called uh, Winfred. His name is Winfred. I called Winfred on the payphone. I was like, "Yo, I'm moving out of my daddy's house." He's like, "I was worried about you, talking shit. I was worried about you. I didn't know if you was okay or whatever." So I was like, "Well, this is what I want you to do. Tomorrow, I want you to come up to the school and pick me up." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Ain't nobody gonna care. You just pick me up in front of the gym where the swimming pool is, cause our school had a pool." I was like, "I'll be there at." I gave him whatever time was in between the second and third period, cause I needed to leave before lunch, and then he was gonna drop me back off. We had 6 classes a day, which is 6 periods. I said, "You're gonna pick me up right before third period, and then drop me off right before sixth period. That way I can go to the last class." And the attendance didn't cross over between classes, so I could miss a class with one teacher and she would never know. She would think that I wasn't there that day, and another teacher would think that I had been there the whole day. So he was after that point, he was coming to the school, pick me up, take me back to the house. We was hanging out, fucking and shit, and then he dropped me back off at school. And this is what I told him during this time. I said, "This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move out, but I need you to help me. So on my 18th birthday, I need you to come and I'm going to give you some stuff out the window because I need your clothes or whatever. And then you just take it and put it in your car, and then we can just run up the street. You're gonna park up the street, and then we'll hop in your car and leave." He was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you can't stay with me because I don't want your dad coming up to my house." I was like, "No, I got that taken care of." So I had called my homegirl. Her name is Shawana. I was like, Shawana, me and my daddy had got into it." She was like, "What happened?" "I ain't even gonna tell you, girl. Can I come stay with you?" She lived in the projects, okay? So she was like, you know you my nigga, you my motherfucker, you can come over here and chill. That's fine. That's fine. I don't care. You know, I get my food stamps on the first of the month. All you got to do is tell me like 2 or 3 things that you want or whatever. You can stay in the, Pootie can sleep because her daughter's nickname was Pootie. She's like, "Pootie can sleep in the bed with me and you can take Pootie room." I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I'll probably stay there for like a little while till I get my own apartment or something." 18 years old. No job experience other than working at the Sonic hamburger spot. Nothing. Barely had any, barely had any credit, anything. I was like, "Okay, that's fine." She was like, "Oh, that's fine." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I needed the window. I couldn't go out the window. Something he did something so that I couldn't go out the window. And no, no, no. The stuff that I needed to take out, it couldn't go. It couldn't pass through the window. A person could pass through the window, but not like my stuff, like a bag or whatever. And I had a trunk. I remember I had a trunk full of stuff. I was like, I didn't have no suitcases. So I was like, I put my stuff in the trunk and just take the trunk with me. Yes, a trunk like how if you go to the circus and the person be like, put the stuff in a straight jacket and then get inside the trunk and it like on the cartoons, like a trunk. I had a trunk like that. So I was like, I just need to take my trunk. He was like, "Okay, that's fine. But I need a way to get out of the house." So one Sunday after church, after service, we was all in our parents' bedroom. Now, we was not allowed to use the front door because um, it was a possibility that the front door, because okay, he had the bars put on the house like after we had been there for a while, so it wasn't like they was done. It was done professionally, but the they didn't reinforce where they put the stuff on. So it was either like on there super strong, or if you mess with it too much, the whole frame or whatever would come out. And so there's a possibility that the front door would end up getting broken. And then, I mean, because the security door was on the back door, and the back door had issues closing all the time. So it was like, don't use the front door. So there was a key to that front door. Nobody had that key but him, my father. It was Sunday. We was upstairs in their bedroom watching TV, la la la, whoop de whoop. That key was on the top shelf of, like, they had like these built-in shelves, and the key was on the top shelf up there. It was behind like a fox fur or something. It was like one of those, you it's like, it looked like a feather boa, but it's actually a fox. It's like a dead fox that's been stuffed. It belonged to my grandmother, his mother, and so he just kept it. Oh, I got 45 seconds. Hold on. One more dose. So I got 15 minutes to wrap this up. Okay. While he wasn't paying attention, my stepmom was in the kitchen getting my baby sister's diaper bag unpacked from service. My dad was, I don't know, he was doing something, but I asked him, I can't remember how, but some kind of way I added to him being more busy so that he was distracted. I had slipped that key off the top shelf, baby. It was 1 week before my birthday. I had planned this so tough. I had slipped that key off, and then I had to hide the key because at that point he was steady more going through my stuff all the time. So I had to hide the key somewhere else in the house. Now keep in mind, it's six of us, it's six kids, plus my two parents, and then my dad and my stepmom was going through my shit. So it's not really too many places to hide anything. Uh, I can't remember where I hid it, but I kept it hidden. So we, the day June, my birthday's on June 2nd. June 1st rolls around, and he's at the house the whole day. He did not leave the house. He must have knew. He was like, once he turned 18, he gonna be at the house, and he's gonna be going, yeah, and he's not leaving this house. Once he turned 18, he gonna stay his ass right here. So I told Winfrey to come at 5 a.m. because I know that was the hour that everybody in the house was knocked out. Now, he may get up in the middle of the night to come check some shit by 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but at 5 a.m., he's knocked out. I'm in the bed, pretending like I'm asleep because I'm so excited to get the fuck up out of the house. I hear him tiptoeing around the house at 12 o'clock, at 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock. The last time I saw him, I heard him tiptoeing was like 3:30 in the morning. I was like, yo, he's trying to make sure I'm not leaving. Then after that, it's dead silence in the house. And I set my alarm clock, but I set it like really low. And so I was sitting there, I was waiting. And then I remember it was like 5, it was a little after 5, and the sun was starting to come up. It was just barely, just a sliver of sunlight. And I opened them curtains, and Winfrey was standing outside my window. I was like, go to the front door. And I went and used a key to unlock the front door. He helped me take that trunk. We ran that trunk up the street and put it in his car. And I went back in the house and I grabbed like my book bag with some stuff in it. And then I turned around and I locked the front door. Yeah, I locked the front door. Because I didn't want him to know how I got out yet. I locked that front door and that security door, walked myself up the street, got in the car with him, and punched it. And he took me over to Shawana's house. I knocked on the door. She was like, you talking about coming over here this early in the morning? I was like, yeah, I had to leave right now because he wouldn't let me leave. He was like, she was like, that don't make no sense. You 18 years old. Darn. Come on, let me move Pooty's stuff out of her room. I put my little trunk in there, and then I was like, okay, cool. So I'm grown now. This is grown. And I was out of the house. Then, after I left, I was still at Shawana's house. My dad had found out where Winfred lived at. And him and two of my uncles went over to his house. And he had his shotgun, and both my uncles had handguns. And it was like, if you don't stay away from my son, we're going to kill you. And he was like, okay, that's fine. So that's why he was like a little nervous. But then at the same time, he was like, you 18 now, you grown. It don't make no difference. So I stayed at Shawana's house after I initially left. I didn't go back over to his house. But then he called me on Shawana's phone. He was like, your dad just came over here. And it was like, where the fuck is he at? He was like, I don't know. I haven't seen him. I ain't talked to him since the day you came over with a gun. Which he was lying because we had been fucking the whole time. He's like, I know where he's at. I know you know where he's at. He's like, I don't know where he's at. I haven't seen him. I haven't talked to him. I don't know anything. He's like, I'm going to send the police over here. Well, fine. You want to use my phone to call him? Because I don't know where he is. And so then he left him alone. All the time I'm in Shawana's house. Did nobody know I was over to Shawana's? Then, later on that night, no, I waited till like the weekend, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I called and I talked to my sister, Michelle. And I was like, I need to give you the key to the house, to the front door. Or you come to church on Sunday. She was like, yeah, where you at? I was like, I'm over at Shawana's house. She's like, you over there? You in Dodge City? Because that's the projects that she lived in. The black name for them was Dodge City. In Nashville, all the projects back then, which most of them been torn down by now, back then all of them had a nickname. The ones that Shawana lived in was called Dodge City. She was like, you over in Dodge City? I was like, yeah. You know Isha live over there. My cousin, she lived like 2 or 3 buildings over or something like that. I was like, I already know that. You be seeing Isha sometimes. Not yet. I ain't seen it yet. I'm finna go up there though. You know, Daddy was pissed. I was like, I already know. What do you do? I don't know. He won't talk to nobody. What did he say? He came downstairs and then Patrick was like, oh, Daddy, my mic is gone. Okay. And then he went in your bedroom and he saw your stuff was gone. And then he was like, damn. And then he went back upstairs. And then he didn't say nothing. And then he was pissed and he went to work. And then he came home and then he said, hey, my mic call? I was like, I told him you didn't call. Well, don't tell him I got the key to the front door. Just get the key. I'm gonna give it to you and then I want you to put it back for me. Put it back in their bedroom upstairs behind the fox. And she was like, okay. Tell me why she fucked that up. All she had to do was get that key and put it back. She didn't. She ended up giving it to my stepmama. But one thing I know is I call myself being grown, but I wasn't because I had not separated psychologically from the house, from the family, from the kids. None of that because I was still performing the same way that I was when I was living at the house. Because I was the one who raised all of my brothers and sisters because my dad, he owned his own business. So he was never at home. He was busy with the business. And then he transitioned from that into being a pastor. So now he's got like the church that he's got to deal with too. And all of that fell back on me. And then my stepmom, well, she was kind of young when they got married. Ain't no kind of. She was young when they got married, so she didn't really have the experience of taking care of. At the time, it was like 4 kids, no 5. Yeah, at the time she didn't have experience taking care of 5 kids. I did though. She didn't. So it was a lot for her. And then she ended up being pregnant. Not ended up, but she. Next thing for her after they was married was she got pregnant, and then she got pregnant again. So now it's her with 7 kids, and it's a whole lot for her to deal with. So it was me that was taking care of them. So when I'm getting over to Shawana's house, I'm taking care of her kids the same way that I was at the house. I'm still kind of looking out for my brothers and sisters at my parents' house, even though that I wasn't there. And then it was stuff like, okay, so we went to church every Sunday. I still went to the same church. I didn't separate. I didn't, because I should have just went to, like, if I call myself being grown and moving out and wanted to do everything on my own, why didn't I shift everything? Everything didn't shift. The only thing that shifted was my location. My mindset was still at the house. I was still, like, the rules and stuff that we had when I was living at the house, them was still in place up here. I still hadn't let it go. It was like if you go to spend a night over to one of your cousin's house for the weekend or something, and you feel like you're a little free for the weekend, but you know you got to go back to the systematic environment. That's kind of how I was performing psychologically over at Shawana's house. And it took me a long time to realize that. And then even still, like when I got my own first apartment, I was still up here. I was still locked up because, like for instance, when I went grocery shopping, I would grocery shop for like 5 people, and it wasn't nobody but just me and my boyfriend. And I think one of the smallest, minute things that like triggered in my head that I need to make some changes was the trash can. When you live in a house with almost 10 people, the trash can is like the same size as one of those trash cans that you see in the lunchroom at school. It's just me and my boyfriend at the house. I got a big ass. I went to Walmart and bought a big ass trash can, and it's just me and him throwing trash in there. And it took like a month before that bag got full. I remember it smelling really bad. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck is that smell? Why does it smell like that?" And he was like, "That's the trash." And then I just stood there and looked at it. I was like, "Oh shit, I don't need a can this big. It's just me and him." And then I opened the cabinet. It's stuff with food. I was like, "Oh shit, I got some work I need to do internally." But anyway, that was a side note. Back to the move out. I was still going to the church, and so he was still seeing me on Sundays. I was finding my own way to get to church. Oh, you know what? There was this dude that lived with. He was quasi semi homeless. This motherfucker used to steal cars just for the fuck of it. And I remember I needed to ride to church really, really bad because we was doing some kind of program or something, and I had been going to the choir rehearsals and everything else, and I was still going to school too. I was driving to school in the car that my dad had gave me because I took the car. I got 30 seconds. Hold on. Oh, that's a rap, baby. I made it out right because it's at the same mark. This shit tastes delicious. Oh my goodness. Maybe it's gonna clean everything out. Take a whole bottle, dilute it in glass. Oh, I might just threw that bottle in the trash. God damn it. Okay. Um, Why I just contemplated taking that bottle back out of the trash can. This is a big one. It said pour the whole bottle in there. How much is it supposed to be? $240 milliliters. This said, no, wait, is that right? No. I'm supposed to know this. This don't sound right. A whole bottle? Everything's in Portuguese. 75 milligrams. What's the maximum recommended dosage? Oh, here we go. "65 drops per day. Take up to 5 drops per dose. Administer repeat this dose at a 6-hour interval. Do not exceed 65 drops per day." Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna. What would they be? I already used the bathroom already. Okay, so we're gonna leave off at. I'm still going to. Hold on. I had to pause the camera. I didn't want y'all to hear all of that. I don't forget where I was at in this whole story. Anyway, you was pissed I moved out. But I was glad I didn't. And I dated Winfrey for like another year after that. I remember I went to the prom with this girl, and she was grown, and she sung in the choir with us. Me and her was real cool. And after the prom, she dropped me off at his house. In the evening, he was a substitute teacher in the morning, and in the evening, for part-time work, he worked at a restaurant over on West End Avenue. And after the prom, we went to his restaurant and he fed us for free. And then I was like, drop me off at his house. So see, I was still hugging with him, even though that shit had went down before I moved out. I forgot where I was with that story earlier.